In this video, I'm going to talk about the difference between sensation and perception and the connected bottom-up and top-down processing. And I'm going to use this picture to help explain it. Chapter 5 is all about sensation and perception. And sensation is basically the data. It is the process by which sensory receptors are triggered, receive information, and then send it to the brain. So that is the information coming in through your sense organs, your eyes, your ears, your skin, all of that. Perception is what you do with that data, what you do with that information from your senses. It's how you organize and interpret information. And there's two ways perception can work, through bottom-up processing and through top-down processing. So first, bottom-up processing. That is when you begin with the sensory receptors and work up towards understanding what's going on. So bottom-up processing is data-driven. It starts with the basics, and then you try to create a perception specifically from the data. So, for example, when you look at this and I ask you, what is this thing? You are using bottom-up processing. You've never seen this image before, I'm assuming, and so you're looking at all of the data, all of the little squiggle lines, all of the shading to try to figure out what it is. That's bottom-up. Now, if you haven't figured out at this point what this is an image of, it is a cow. And if you need help with that, this would be the nose right here. And then the face would kind of come up like that. This would be one ear. Here's another ear. There's one eye, the other eye. So that's the face too. So the face kind of goes like that. And then that would be the body. So that's a cow. Hopefully now it kind of pops out at you. And if you close your eyes for a second, or if I take this away and just show you a blank screen, and now I bring it back, what do you see? Chances are immediately you see cow. Now, whenever you look at this image, it's going to be top-down processing. Top-down processing is sort of a higher level mental process. It's where you create your perception based on your expectations or your previous experience. So now that you have previous experience with this image, now that you know it's a cow, you are always going to see cow. It is impossible to unsee this cow. Your expectations affect what you see. Another example of this would be this. If I showed you this, this would be Abe Lincoln. If you stand far back, it looks more like Abe Lincoln. The farther back you stand, the more it actually looks like Abe Lincoln. But honestly, this is not Abe Lincoln. It looks like it. You perceive Abe Lincoln because you expect to see Abe Lincoln. That is an example of top-down processing. Your expectations, your previous experiences with pictures of Abe Lincoln makes you see Abe, especially if you squint a little bit. So that is perception and the difference between sensation and perception. Sensation, the data, perception, what you do with the data. And when you have a perception, you either have it be data-driven, it's from the bottom-up processing, or your expectations influence you. That's top-down. Final example of this top-down processing would be this sentence. If I told you to put in the grammar for this sentence, it should be very easy, but it's actually not. I have done this many times with my students in class, and basically they never get it because of top-down processing. This is specifically a type of top-down processing called a perceptual set. So a perceptual set is when you have a mental disposition to perceive one thing and not another. So this would be an example of top-down processing because it is your previous experience or your previous expectations that cause this mental predisposition. So this sentence is very difficult because it's the perceptual set, this top-down processing that's influencing you. So the actual punctuation here should be I'll do it all in red so it helps you see it. You also need that. The other easy one. And finally, that. So when we talk about time flies, I can't, they're too fast, we're not talking about the phrase time flies and how life goes quickly. We're talking about insects, little buzzing flies, and you're trying to time them with a stopwatch, and you can't because they buzz by you too fast. When you think about it that way, it's really easy to put in the punctuation. But because of your predisposition, because of your previous experience with the phrase time flies, it's hard for you to think of it in this way. So that would be a perceptual set connected to top-down processing, which is a form of perception. So that is the difference between sensation perception, bottom-up processing, top-down processing, and perceptual sets.